What if a full-scale war, a war that could have engulfed the entire Middle East, was stopped just 90 minutes before it began? Was this diplomacy, or was this desperation? For weeks, the world watched as tensions between the United States and Iran escalated into a full-blown military confrontation. Missiles were fired. Oil routes were disrupted. The Strait of Hormuz, which carries nearly 20% of global oil supply, became the center of global anxiety. And then came the ultimatum. U.S. President Donald Trump issued a stark warning. Iran had a deadline: reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or face devastating military strikes. This was not rhetoric. This was a countdown to war. Part 2, the final 90 minutes. As the deadline approached, the situation turned critical. Military assets were in position. Targets had reportedly been identified. The language from Washington had become extreme, even hinting at destruction on a massive scale. And then, 90 minutes before the strike window, everything changed. A sudden diplomatic breakthrough. A 2-week ceasefire was announced. The United States paused its attack. Iran agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the world stepped back from the edge. So what really happened in those 90 minutes? Multiple reports indicate that Shehbaz Sharif and Pakistan's military leadership played a key mediating role. Back-channel negotiations intensified. Iran signaled willingness to cooperate. The U.S. recalibrated its position. But here's the critical question. Was this a strategic retreat or a forced compromise? Because both sides are claiming victory. Trump called it a total and complete victory. Iran called it a strategic win, saying its objectives were achieved. When both sides claim victory, it usually means neither got everything they wanted. Let's be clear, this is not peace, this is a pause. The ceasefire is temporary, just 2 weeks. And even as it was announced, missile alerts continued across the region. Israel's position remains uncertain. Iran's military structure is not fully centralized, which means, even if leaders agree, everyone on the ground may not immediately follow. This is a fragile equilibrium. Why did this war stop? Because the cost was becoming too high for everyone. For the USA, prolonged war risked political backlash and global instability. For Iran, sustained conflict risked economic collapse and internal strain. For the world, oil markets were already reacting violently. In fact, the moment the ceasefire was announced, oil prices dropped sharply and global markets surged. That tells you everything. The world did not want this war, and perhaps neither did the people actually fighting it. Talks are now expected to take place in Islamabad. There are proposals on the table. Iran has a 10-point plan. The U.S. has its own framework. But the core issues remain unresolved. Sanctions, nuclear ambitions, regional influence, in other words, the reasons for the war still exist. So here's the uncomfortable truth. This was not the end of a war. This was the postponement of one. 90 minutes saved the world, but did not solve the problem. And the real question now is, when the next deadline comes, will there be another 90 minutes to save us? Like, subscribe, and join HW News Network to support independent journalism.